I don't watch them when I'm in Ramallah but I want to say that when it comes to the Israeli public, it doesn't matter if the Al Jazeera are inside Israel or not inside Israel. The general Israeli public does not want to know about what's happening in Gaza, and the Israeli media does not show anything. I mean, they show very a few images of the destruction. They give very little information and footage of the death, of the wounded people. I mean, there is no relation between what is happening and what is shown on Al Jazeera and what the Israeli media shows. But it is not a dictate from above. It is not state censorship, unlike with Al Jazeera. It is a decision of most of the Israeli venues, most of the Israeli media venues, especially the TV, of course, not to show those horrible scenes that might give some sense to some Israelis that this is not morally, but this is logically cannot produce a change in Palestinian attitudes or a change for accepting Israel or accepting Israeli rights to exist, etc., etc. If for 8 months it launches such an onslaught of revenge and supremacy against them, but the Israeli public is not looking for it. Is not searching for it in general. I mean, of course, there are exceptions, like the Israeli left-wing, Israeli activists, Israeli human rights activists, political leftist activists. Of course, there are exceptions. So it's not the entire society, and of course, there are the Palestinians who are Israeli citizens. But the banning of Al Jazeera is not the reason why Israelis do not see the reality in Gaza. And this is not the reason. This is the choice not to know. This is why we feel that we still live the Nakba and the outcomes of the Nakba, because
the Nakba,
there is no
Arabic for catastrophe.
Because there is no acknowledgement that you cannot live in this unbearable injustice, that one people has the rights and one people controls and dictates the life of the other people in the land. The thing is that we have to acknowledge there are two peoples in the land, and peoples have rights. And right now we deprive the Palestinians of their very basic rights. Not only the basic right of life, as we see going on in Gaza right now, but on the normal days of occupation. We deprive them of water, freedom of movement, land, housing rights, planning, travel, living with their families, choosing their university, developing their economy, prospering, investing, all these things. At any moment, Israeli soldiers can confiscate millions of dollars from Palestinians for one pretext or another. Israeli settlers carry out Israeli policies, but in much more zeal, and confiscate land, take over land. I mean, Palestinians' life is never, they are never safe. They never live in security for more than 75 years, in both sides of the Green Line, both in Israel and the territory occupied in '67. So there has to be a decision by Israeli people. Do we want to live for? Israel was established so that Jews will feel secure and live normally. This is not normal life. They pretended that this is normal life, that we can occupy another people and feel normal. No, and the 7th of October, with all the atrocities and the enormous suffering that that the families and the casualties and the victims of 7th of October are living through, all this suffering and the really trauma, terrible trauma and cruelty. But this was a kind of a very expected answer by Hamas and by Palestinians to years-long atrocities perpetuated by Israel.